and welcome for joining. This is the 6th edition of the Virtual Talk series powered by the IABC West Africa Interest Group. So I just need to confirm that you can hear me. You can hear me, good, great.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining. We'll just watch a video about who we are, the IABC.
We are IABC, a global community of communication professionals practicing with integrity and passion. We're diverse. Diverse as the industries and disciplines we work in. With thousands of members on every continent, we're alive with knowledge and experience. We're the voice of communication practice. We use the power of communication to connect people to ideas, to job opportunities, and to other professionals. We spark conversations. We create connection. And we have fun. We're focused on insights and results. Sure, we like cool creative, but it has to stick in the hearts and minds of our audience and provide value to our organization. We're about global best practices that are current and relevant. We live by a code of ethics. We support a global certification program. And we recognize the best of the best around the world. So, what's in it for you? Well, start with our lively and varied networking events, our regional and international conferences, our certification programs, and our award shows. Whether you're an experienced communicator or new to the field, whether you work for a corporation, government, agency, or nonprofit, IABC fits your personality and your professional goals. IABC. We use communication to engage, influence, counsel, and execute. We connect communicators around the world. We are IABC.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, for all those who have joined. And for those who are already dropping in their introductions in the chat box, thank you very much for joining. I would like to welcome you to the Virtual Talk series powered by the IABC West Africa Interest Group. This is the 6th edition. And today I will be moderating the session. My name is Anne-Marie Palmer Ikuku. And I hope you enjoyed our introductory video, which provided you with more information about what the International Association of Business Communicators is all about. We come together to engage, we speak on behalf of our business, and then we come and network to learn more from each other and to grow. So I'll tell you just a little bit more, but before then, I'll quickly share a safety message from the IABC with you. And it's about COVID-19. We can't say too much about it because the pandemic is still here. It's still here with us. So let's continue to adhere to all advisory, continue to comply with all the pharmaceutical measures. It has not been known to fail, such as washing or sanitizing our hands regularly, avoiding large gatherings, observing social distancing, and putting on a mask whenever we leave the comfort of our homes. So I'll say let's continue to stay safe for ourselves and for our loved ones. Thank you. Now back to the IABC. So I'll just share a little more about it's like the name, it's the International Association of Business Communicators, and it's a global network of communication professionals committed to improving organizational effectiveness through strategic communication. We are the West Africa Interest Group and is a member of the IABC Africa region, which covers IABC members across the West African coast. What this platform does is it provides us a platform, a credible platform for networking, for mentoring, for learning, for thought leadership, on how to create value, strategic communications. We have some social media handles. There's the Twitter. On Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we're on LinkedIn. So to become if you link up with us on the website, there's a www.iabc.com/membership. That's how you formed. It helps to raise your profile, and it provides you with different tools with which to leverage on what you do. And most importantly, it learns to help you keep sharp on your job. So now permits me to go on straight to introduce members of the panel today. We have a very distinguished panel. Every one of them has the DH by their name. And so you're in for so much learning today, this afternoon. Now, time will not permit me, so I will not read out all their profiles, which you'll see you're seeing displayed on the screen. But as I recognize them, I request that they switch on their cameras so that our audience can see them. And in no particular order, I will start with Dr. Amanda Hamilton Atwell. She's the lead consultant at Business DNA Victoria in South Africa. She's very, very active in the IABC Africa region. Amanda, you are welcome. Okay. And then we have Dr. Ubadire Agwa. He is the Principal Public Relations Officer at Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, here in Nigeria. Dr. Agwa, you're welcome to the panel.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then we have Dr. Adeshola Adebawo. I have deliberately also done that introduction as doctor. He's almost there, so it's already our doctor here. He's the General Manager, Government, Joint Venture and External Relations of Heritage Energy, Lagos, Nigeria.
Thank you very much. I appreciate and I'm glad to be here today. I hope you could hear me.
For the records.
I lost most of what you said for a moment there, but I'm thankful for the robust introduction, and I'm very excited to be part of the panel today. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. You're welcome. Okay, great. So we'll just take a quick photograph of the group just for the records. Webinar is being recorded, and like all the other webinars we've had in the past, it's going to be available on our YouTube channel immediately after this session. So I say thanks for giving your permission for this recording. And then please note that the session is designed to be as interactive as possible. We are communicators, let's be free. Feel free to drop your comments in the chat box, views, like banters, please do. I see some chats are already coming in. However, questions should be dropped in the Q&A box, specifically the Q&A box. What this does is that the panelists will be able to pick them up and respond to them as appropriate. Thank you very much. So we go straight on. Just before I invite the panelists, I just say, in communication professionals, we are responsible for building and maintaining relationships between our organizations and consumers and stakeholders. And over the years, we have expanded our skill sets because the space is so dynamic. So we're now no longer just churning out press statements, but we now focus on content development. And with digital communication now, I mean, content development, it's so fluid, and you have so many opportunities to express yourself. However, as dynamic as the space is, we need to continue to add value, and we need to add the value strategically. So this afternoon, we'll be speaking with our panelists, and then they will be sharing their thoughts And we'll be dissecting the communications professionals. How can we transition from being just a specialist to a strategic advisor? So I think I'll immediately just give each of the panelists 2 minutes to give us their early thoughts on the topic and also demonstrate what value they believe communication professionals add to the business. And then again, in no particular order, I would like to call on Amanda to share her points for just 2 minutes. Amanda, you have the floor. Your mic is still unmuted. You need to unmute, yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was centrally muted. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for being part of this panel and to talk to you about how do you progress from entering the profession to actually becoming a strategic advisor to management. And I think what is the most important thing is that we first of all look at the global standard for the communication professional, just to set the scene for what are we as communication professionals expected to do. And this global standard was developed by the IABC, and it is based on extensive research. It started 10 years ago, and as a result of this, we developed the career roadmap, where we actually have the 4 quadrants, and which we will talk to about, during this conversation. So if you would just allow me, I would like to read the global standard to you. So the communication professional represents the authentic voice of an organization as he or she interacts with customers, clients, employees, partners, shareholders, competitors, and the community. We bring to life the organization's brand voice that aligns with verbal, visual, digital messages and activities with its mission and vision. We clarify the brand and help to ensure that the organization runs effectively and efficiently. But how do we do it? Sorry, I just want to get to the next slide. We built a strategic plan based on thorough research, and this is so important. I just read a Reagan report today, and it is scary to see that about 30% of the people that participated in the research indicated that they do any measurement, and we cannot do that anymore. We communicate with a variety of audiences in a range of styles. We develop and edit content. We assess where and how to communicate and how to evaluate the results of our work and access the organization's conscience and strives for financial, social, and environmental sustainability. So for me, to conclude my introductory message is that we progress from just being a foundational level or specialist or generalist communication professional to a communication advisor the moment we have solid research, where we have a solid strategic plan, and when we can actually show and measure how we contribute to the business metrics and help the organization grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Amanda, for sharing the global standards with us. We represent the authentic voice of the organization. We bring to life the organization's brand voice, and we help to clarify the brand, helping the organization to run efficiently and effectively. And most importantly, we were able to transition from being a communication specialist to a strategic advisor the moment we have a solid strategic plan where we can show how we create value. That's the key word for me here. Thank you very much for that introduction, Amanda. So we move on to Dr. Badire for his own thoughts.
All right, thank you, Maria. Thank you. Welcome to other panelists here. It's quite a pleasure to be part of this wonderful panel. It is very, very amazing to be part of you. Actually, when I saw the title of today's talk series, it got me thinking. It got me thinking very seriously because um, um, coming from the academia, I can tell you clearly, I haven't heard about strategic advisor. It may sound so strange. Throughout my studies, I never heard about a strategic advisor as it has to do with communication. But it's very interesting that IABC is exposing everyone in the communication profession to the higher level of what our duties should be if we must add value to our organizations. Now, if you look at the medical profession, for example, you will agree with me that when you finish from medical school, you may just be a general doctor, a general practitioner. And that means you just practice. You need a whole lot to transit from being a general medical practitioner to being a specialist, specializing in one area of medicine. And you would also need a whole lot in terms of training, in terms of applying principles, in terms of advancing knowledge to transit from probably a specialist in one area of medicine to, let's say, a consultant in your area. So it is with communication. When you are in school, you are a communication trainee. And when you begin to practice in an organization, when you begin to do the things that the profession demands, you gradually move up based on experience, based on knowledge, based on application of knowledge to case, to situations, and you grow. I think that when you continue to grow in the work you do as a communication practitioner, you will gradually get to the point where you will be in a better position to advise management. Just like a general statement, um, many organizations do not yet appreciate the value. In fact, it's an argument whether communication professionals actually add value. And just like the first speaker said, you won't be able to understand what value you add to an organization until you do a very critical research, a very critical analysis. By adding value, we are talking about, measurable values. We are talking about tangibles. What has my communication in this organization, what has it added to the value of the organization? And you can't really determine that until you have evaluated your communication plan, evaluated your activities as a communication professional. And that's why some scholars have developed what they call the communication value circle. The communication value circle. It's a kind of index with dimensions and indicators that you could use to evaluate your communication plan. It's only in doing so that you will know whether you have maybe increased profits in an organization, whether you have increased the number of customer base, whether you have increased, acceptability, whether you have improved on your reputation. All will be based on research. So you don't just transit on nothing. You transit based on experience, you transit based on acquisition of knowledge, you transit based on practice, at applying the principle, the principles of communication, adapting them to situations you find in your organization. When you build up these experiences, when you build up this knowledge, you will now be able to advise management on instances, on cases they will need to apply so knowledge to so situation. I think that's the process of transiting from a communication specialist to maybe a strategic advisor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agua, for that. I got one from there, communication value circle. The index will evaluate your communication plan to a certain value. So again, I hear from you value and being able to measure and determine what exactly your contribution is to that bottom line. And I hear you talk about growth. Growth is also very important to that transition. So growth in terms of acquisition of knowledge, improving on your skill set and of course your experiences. So thank you very much for that. So now to Dr. Shola for his own perspectives.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. I seem to be enjoying that title pretty early today. Like you did say, I'm almost there, and I look forward to belonging to that very distinguished class of intellectuals. Thank you one more time for the privilege to once again contribute a bit of my understanding and knowledge concerning the subject matter, particularly as a practitioner in the industry. I sit squarely within the function that is being discussed today. And I'm excited that we're looking at how to manage that transition between various aspects of the same function. You know, I understand, and I have experienced it personally, having grown in it, when people express their apprehension of the limited appreciation of the place of corporate communication in today's corporate world. I say limited because that appreciation has since grown. It's not as bad as it was many years ago. As a matter of fact, more forward-looking businesses today appreciate the critical role of communication strategy and the individuals who play that role to the success of every business. You will notice that communication is that thread that weaves together different aspects of any corporate business and helps to move it towards potential success. Every single aspect of a business rides on the rail of communication. Without effective, structured, proper, professional business communication, virtually hardly could any business succeed in today's world. The world engages itself on the platform of communication. You find virtual businesses today have created a niche for themselves, riding on the reality of the concept of communication. You find out that the individuals, the professionals who are trained and experienced in that field, who practically drive this phenomenon that helps the wheel of business to go forward themselves, they function in different areas. And that is why we talked about the interface, the transition between a specialist role and a strategic advisory role. So talking a little bit about being a specialist, every business requires a communication specialist, that individual that is your face, that is focused solely on managing the interface between you and various stakeholder segments, particularly from the standpoint of how your policies are presented to your internal stakeholders, how the feedback processes are managed between management and employees, how the engagement between customer base and business partners and vendors, depending on the scale and scope and industry of your business, there could be very wild stakeholder spectrum that you may be dealing with, including your stakeholder communities and your regulatory stakeholders, policy stakeholder, different stakeholder segment that you may have. Communication is that power that helps you to engage effectively and to position effectively in terms of strategically positioning your brand, in terms of managing your profit level, in terms of marketing of your products and services. All of these ride on the back of professional business communication. That a segment of it is actually called marketing communication, as a matter of fact. So if you have a business that is selling goods and services or whatever product or services that you have in the package, you need a structured professional form of communication that is deliberate in nature, in positioning the value that you propose, the value you propose to your target customer base, as far and as well as the expected value that you expect from your proposition, and putting this in the light of existing regulation, putting this in the light of human interest, putting this in the light of international expectations, putting this in the light of trade regulation, all of this in the light of stakeholder expectations, shareholder expectations, management expectations, and of course, the success of his business itself. All of these rise on the back of very well-structured communications expertise. Now, having said that, very quickly, we're talking today, most of our engagement today is going to be on how do you make that transition from the specialist role to the business advisory role, which I believe we'll be talking about today. But as far as foundation is concerned, the business advisory role is strategic in nature, meaning that is upfront in nature. It looks at, it requires a huge understanding of the business that you are supporting as a communication professional, because it connects with where the business is headed, and it seeks to look at what the communications needs are to get the business objectives achieved. I believe that as we dive deeper into these conversations, we will be touching more specifically some of these key areas. I look forward to that engagement as we go on.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shola, for that. We did say limited appreciation of corporate communication practice. We all experience that. And yes, I know that it's already, I mean, the needle is moving and everybody's beginning to appreciate the importance of the corporate communication professional in communicating the message of the business to the various stakeholders. And for a lot of people, the spectrum is very wide. The spectrum of stakeholders is very wide. And that interface is needed. That interface is very important. Thank you very much. Now, how do we make that transition? We've agreed that the communication professional is needed for every business to succeed. How do we make that transition as professionals, okay, as professionals to strategic advisors? I think I'll direct that question to Amanda.
Thank you so much, Anna Marie. I would really like to advise all the people that's listening to this to go to the IABC website and to complete the career assessment tool. The career assessment tool is based on the 6 principles of communication. What do we do in a business? We work ethically, we set a strategy, we analyze and we measure, we give context to the corporate message, we engage and we have a consistent message to our stakeholders. So what the career assessment tool will do is it is a set of questions that you will answer. And based on that, you will get a report immediately that will indicate to you at this point in time, your career milestone might be foundational, generalist, specialist, or you might even be on a strategic advisor level already, because that is not necessarily a role in an organization. It is a competence, it is a skill set, it is a potential contribution that you can make to the organization. But what is more important about this career assessment tool is that it would indicate to you where you need to develop. Which of these 6 areas do you need to develop? And it will give you very specific areas within these 6 principles that you need to attend to. So it is really, if you want to start your progression on your career roadmap from where you are to become a strategic advisor, step number 1 is do the career assessment tool on the IABC website. It is free. You need not be a member of the IABC to do it. So please go and do the assessment tool. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Okay, thank you very much, Amanda, for that. Thank you. And thank you to the IABC for making that available so that you can take that free assessment and know where you actually are, what you need to do to transition to the next level. I would also like to thank you to Tubosu and to Shola for dropping the link on the chat box. For those who did not get the link, it's on the chat box, it's been dropped there. Please click on it and take an assessment and see where you stand on the ladder and see what you need to do. Look at the ladder, ask yourself, where do I want to be? And what do I need to do to get there? Yeah, the tool would, the assessment would provide you a report that would guide you. So now, I want to come back quickly to Amanda, just before I go to Dr. Agua. How can I ensure that I grow in my career? So I've done this assessment. I know I've been told this is what I need to do. Where do I get the support? How do I grow?
Well, the most important thing is that you must keep on reading and read wide and attend programs, which is, and I don't say this glibly. It's Dr. Adesola, or is it not yet? Quite close to you referred to the knowledge of the business. And this is really one of the key areas that we as communication professionals often falters on. We don't know the business of communication. We don't know the business in which we work. So if you want to be credible in your organization, make sure that you know, first of all, your organization, know the organization structure, know the stakeholders, know the business of your business, and then know the industry. Because Dr. Aqua referred to the communication value circle. It is the most profound model that I have stumbled across 3 years ago. And if you look at that, it will also indicate to you that we cannot really be regarded as credible strategic partners if we don't understand the business. So to grow, read wide, attend programs wide. The IBC offers amazing things, but make sure that you understand your industry and connect to people in your organization. Offer your assistance. Don't sit in your little corner and just do what your job description says. Make sure that people in the organization knows what you can actually contribute and how you can help them to communicate better. It doesn't matter from operational levels to the executive. Everyone is a communicator, but we are communication professionals. So we know the science, we know the art of communication. So that is why we have the responsibility to actually assist the communicators in the organization to be better at this key role that really includes everyone in the organization.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Amanda has said we need to read wide and we need to attend programs and we need to understand our business, understand the business and your business's business. And it brings me to this session we are having. That is a very learning opportunity, a good learning opportunity. You are encouraged to attend more of these. We have this virtual talk series quarterly. we encourage you to attend. The IABC also has a lot of resources available for you as a communicator to grow. We have the IABC Catalyst. It features a lot of reports and news on trends to watch out for and which can help you do better in what you do. So please take advantage of it. The IABC, it's there for you. Go on the website and then it gives you more information on how to join. So Dr. Obadire, now going back to say, how can we, now we know the value we bring, how can we debunk the perception and misinformation that the communication professional or the department, the role doesn't add any value to the business?
All right. Thank you very much, Annie, one more time. I quite appreciate the contributions of Dr. Adeshola and of course, Amanda. Very brilliant ideas. You see, what you have just asked is one of the problems we have identified in many organizations, particularly the public sector organizations. There is a very low level of appreciation of the job of the communication practitioner or the communication professional. You know, that's why sometimes you find a disregard, you know, you find a relegation to the background because the perception there is, oh, what can they actually contribute? But if you turn to see the problems associated with poor communication or ineffective communication, you begin to appreciate what the communication professional does. You know, communication professionals are passionate about engaging the stakeholders of the organization. They are passionate about, building a reputation for the organization. They're passionate about telling stories to the right audiences about the organization. Now, most times they don't appreciate this. I mean, top level management of many organizations, particularly the public sector. So how do we debunk this? You can't debunk that perception on the basis of nothing. You have to have research-based evidence. You have to have, for example, you identify a communication problem in a system, you proffer solution to that communication problem, you present this as an evidence, okay? It has to be evidence. Look, this is what communication can do to our organization. This is what poor communication has cost our organization. When you are able to present evidences, you will be near convincing the top management of the organization that this is what communication could do. It's on that basis that you can debunk that. It has to be based on facts, and these facts must be based on research. That's why it's important that communication professionals will be able to do a good analysis. You have to do a good analysis of the organization, identifying what the problems are, developing communication strategies to address those issues. And when you have come up with your research, you present it. Is the evidence that your organization will need to be able to be convinced. So presentation of hardcore facts, evidences about the importance of your duty will bring that conviction. That's what I think. Permit me to also add that the structure at times, the structure of the communication professional at times, does not allow him, the practitioner, to be in the position where you will advise. But your words will come when you begin to contribute to solving problems in the organization communication-wise. So your contribution matters a whole lot. Your contribution to the success of the organization using communication will help to debunk, the perception that is wrong or wrongly held about the communication profession.
Thank you very much, Dr. Obadire. I see we talk about debunking the research, debunking with research.
The wrong perception.
Wrong perception. Yes. Facts are stubborn. Once you have the facts from your research, you have your solution ahead of you. But I'll come to Dr. Shola now to say, now, when we have our facts with us, we understand our business, we have these facts, we've done our research thoroughly. How do we ensure that our content is not lost in the process of translating the message? How can we go about that?
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. I think also it's very important for communications professionals to understand that our role in today's business is different from what it was several years ago. It's very important. We should not just see communication as a secluded aspect of profession that is different from the overall business that the communication seeks to support. You know, one of the key opportunities we have as professionals to get our propositions, our content understood properly decoded, is for us to ourselves give capacity, position ourselves as professionals to give capacity to both our management and our fellow employees and our business, provide them the capacity to interpret our work, you know, and that is very important. I'll give you an example. In my previous employment, one of the things that I used to do was to help people understand what role employees can play in the communication process as part of the overall reputation management efforts of the company. So as a strategic communications advisor, you must see yourself as not just being responsible for only one aspect of the business, but as carrying the entire reputation of the business on your shoulder. So you want to make sure that you interpret to the business what their roles are, what the roles of each person is in the reputation management process. So one of the things you wanted to do was to turn your employees into company spokesperson. In other words, you get employees to understand what can they do, in what form can they participate in conveying the company's message. In the process of doing that, it means that you provide metrics for the interpretation. What exactly is the company's message and how should it be presented? And this must be understood by everyone. And this is the role of the communications person. So it's a very large role, and you must see yourself also as somebody who understands both the strategic objective of the business from the business angle and also the reputation objective of your business. There's a difference between the business objective and the reputation objective, because where you stand, the reputation of the business helps to enhance the objectives of the business. So the strategic advisor must position themselves in a way that they're able to demonstrate value to the leadership, that not only do we understand this business, but we also understand and interpret what the reputation objective of this business is and how everyday business decision potentially can impact on the reputation objective of the business. And of course, like Dr. Agua says, and like you rightly re-echoed, facts are stubborn. Having a systematic, structured, and data-driven analysis and demonstration of the impact of communication on business bottom line is very important. And there are many ways to do that. For example, one of the things I used to do in my previous career was what we call the reputation study. Reputation study is pretty much like a prognosis, is pretty much like a health check of your organization. What are the various stakeholders saying? What are they check the pulse of the various stakeholders in terms of how they perceive your company, and depending on the criticality and the categorization of your stakeholder segment. And then it tells you where your business is at certain times. And then so you can identify the reputation gaps and where the reputation opportunities are. And then there comes your value. Your value then becomes proposing the potential solutions. What needs to be done to bridge the identified reputation gap as far as each stakeholder segment is concerned. What I'm describing to you is pretty scientific. So this has gone beyond newspaper clippings and press release writing. So it's a very, very scientific, analytical profession that we have. And there is significant opportunity for us as professionals to demonstrate that not only do we realize this, that we have acquired either through training, professional engagement, through networking, or through some other forms of opportunity, that we have acquired the capacity to deliver this high quality value to our business, and we will earn the respect of everyone we work for.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shola, for that. And thank you for highlighting that fact. The business environment today is very different, it's very volatile, and the business communicator has to be able to understand what is going on and ensure that they also play in that role effectively and communicate the business message appropriately. And then you also talked about the reputation objective and the business objective, how the reputation objective helps with the business objective.
Sorry,
okay.
Annie, if you can permit me, I'd like to just buttress very shortly, very quickly to a very important point, leveraging on what Adeshola has said. You see, you can't be taken seriously to the point of being given an advisory role in an organization when your contribution is near meaningless. Okay, your contribution will be valued when it comes from the point of facts. And that's why it's important. You see, when I belong to a number of professional organizations, but the year I stumbled on IABC, that should be in 2016 or so, I was doing a study and I stumbled on IABC. I endeared myself to IABC, always visited the website, read a lot of articles, a lot of knowledge shared, and it enriched me seriously. Just like you said, if you are not knowledgeable, there will be a high level of limits to how much contribution you can make to an organization. Okay, so people who are practicing communication should get adequate training and exposure. I encourage everyone to join IABC. It helps to build you, extensively and make you able to contribute significantly to your organization. Until you are able to, let me give you, if you permit me, let me just give you an example. In the organization where I work, it's an organization that is over 25 years old. And I can tell you, there is no crisis communication plan. And there has been a whole lot of crises that were sometimes not properly managed. Okay? And I did a proposal to the head of the organization outlining the need for the organization to have a crisis communication plan, a crisis communication team, and it's receiving attention because it made a lot of sense based on the things embedded in the proposal. So somebody who does not know this will not be able to contribute that. So the top management will listen to you when you have something to offer. And that's what communication professionals should aim at. Okay, so that's just what I want to add in what Adeshola has said.
Thank you very much, Doctor. You've talked a lot about these facts, and the IABC is a platform where we can work together, share knowledge, and get all the facts that we need. I was going to take a question from Samson Pupoho, who says, but he says now that, thank you, Mr. Adeshola, you have answered my question. So yeah, that's fine. But very interesting contributions going on the chat box. I see Ellen also says the reputation study of the organization is like a health check of the organization. Absolutely. Patience Edosa Guigo says everyone has a role in the reputation management process of an organization. Indeed, absolutely. Tolulope Olorundero says, I'm quite interested to join the IABC. Tolulope, we are very open and we're welcoming you. I think Shola has dropped on the chat box the link to the IABC membership site. Please log on to that site at www.iabc.com/membership and please sign up for it. So much for everyone to learn. So many. If Ifoma Defo, okay, Ifoma just says hello, Ifoma, welcome from Abuja. And Sylvester too, thank you everyone. Sylvester is joining from Ghana. Welcome, Sylvester. We're happy to have you here with us. And Oludare says, can you drop the membership link again? Yes, we will drop that membership link again for you before this session is over. So I would say again that our panelists are here. They are well experienced and they still have so much to share. But I want to go at this point to Amanda to say, what is better? Is it to move from company to company and promote yourself or work your way up in one organization? What would you say is better? You need to unmute your mic, Amanda.
Yes, sorry, I muted my mic. It all depends on the size of the organization, because, as a communication professional on foundational level, you might start in a big corporate, a big mining company, and there are several branches and BUs that you can move to. But you can also start your career in an NGO, where you can build a portfolio of competencies and skills. But then you cannot move any further, then you're stuck against the ceiling. So my advice to people would be, look at the size of the organization and determine if there are any opportunities for you to grow, to be promoted. And based on that, you determine, should it be better for me to promote myself, or should it be better for me to go to another organization or to stay in this organization and grow and get more competent and more knowledgeable about the organization. But Anne-Marie, I want to say something else as well, except for, how do you move yourself into other levels, is I cannot stress the importance of a strategy enough. Because if we as communication professionals do not have a proper communication strategy that is directly aligned to the business strategy, we are dead in our shoes. And that is why this is so important, that we understand the risks of the company, because that will enable us to develop a strategy that will have the necessary alignment that will impact on these risks. And, the reality is we cannot solve every problem, but we can solve a lot of problems. And you need not go far to find problems to solve. You just go to safety or operations, you look at the productivity numbers, you go to HR, you look at absenteeism, you look at, there are all these business matrices that they are available. So just use them and base your communication strategy on that. And that is one of the beauties of the IABC. In your video that you showed up front, they mentioned the awards. And we have the Gold Quill Awards. And to enter a Gold Quill Award, you get a document, a how to prepare a document. And I want to recommend that the people go to the Gold Quill website, which is just gq.iabc.com, and look at the resources and look at the how-to document, because that document will enable you to write a proper strategy. And that will enable you to create projects that will really impress your company. So use the IBC, and that is also an open resource. You need not be a member yet to do that. And you can enter awards, you need not be a member. And that will also give you credibility if you win an award and it is evaluated by peers on a global level. To say to people, well, actually, I am a globally aligned communication professional.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Thank you. Before I leave you, Amanda, just to ask one more question. There are many women in the communication space, and we sometimes take a family break. So how can women minimize the impact of that on their career?
Oh, I love that question, because yes, they are in globally, there are more women in the communication profession than men. But what we find is that we pay a family penalty. Because sometimes we prefer to go out of the job. Now, I want to advise all the females on this call, when you take a family break, don't stop learning. Don't stop developing your skills. So when you decide to come back to the profession, that you can actually indicate that I resigned from my role in 2019, and I was at home for 2 years to raise a child or to attend to family responsibilities. And in that time, I did a very important thing. And that is another thing that the IBC offers, which is also not linked to membership. And that is, for instance, certification. So you can write your CMP certification. You can write your SCMP certification and come back, because you will have time and you will not have the responsibilities of a family and a role to prepare and sit for that exam. So I want to advise not actually only females, but any person that take a break from your career. In that time, make sure that you put something on your curriculum vitae that you can say, I actually use this time to develop my skills, my knowledge, my competencies.
Thank you very much, Amanda, for that. A lot of women, they have sent messages saying thank you for that question. It resonates well with all women here. Thank you. Okay, so Samson has said, he's requested that we should still read out his question in case Dr. Shola has some more insight on what he asked. So his question says, do you have any suggestion for ways that an in-house communication specialist can convince management to see their role as a strategic role, not just a mouthpiece of management intentions? That is, how do we become part of the process of defining the intention rather than just a communicator of the intention? He has it in inverted comma. So Dr. Shola, that question, something wants you to please take it, respond to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it's also important the way we project ourselves and present our work as communications professionals. In my previous iteration, I inherited a team, a communications team in Chevron that that wasn't the way it could be. So when I came into the leadership of that team, it was a highly demotivated team. It was a team that has been so battered by their own impression of themselves as reflected in management's impression of their performance and the value they added to the business. And the first thing I did was that this has got to change. But it was going to change from, first of all, the way we present the values that we added to the business and the way we highlighted those values, and then also the way we ourselves perceive our role and the way we function in those roles. Many times we shoot ourselves in the foot by underserving ourselves. The principle is run until somebody says stop. If you have a communication professional whose perception of their role is limited, you will not be able to demonstrate as much value as you could. And for you to gain the confidence of your leadership, to allow you to be the interpreter of intention rather than just the purveyors of it, you need to demonstrate capacity, you need to demonstrate ability, you need to demonstrate knowledge, particularly two sets of knowledge. Knowledge of the business and knowledge of the strategic communications profession as it relates to adding value to the business. For example, if you look at any organization that has no grievance mechanism, for example, is setting itself up for failure in the time of crisis. Now, the process for structuring grievance mechanisms is a communicative process. As a communications professional, you must see that your function includes managing stakeholders, strategic issues management, and also, of course, crisis management, like Dr. Agua talked about an organization having a clear-cut crisis communication plan. In our industry, Anne-Marie, you know that that's a given, that's basic. I mean, you cannot, as a matter of fact, you cannot operate for 1 year, for 6 months without it, because it's an industry that sits on the keg of gunpowder. Every single day of your life, you are dealing with high octane crises, one or the other. So you cannot afford. So that's the water in which we swim. So as a communication professional, to earn the trust and respect and dignity of your leadership. And it is those respect, trust, and dignity that allows your leadership, the leadership of any business, to trust your interpretation of intentions and your analysis of potential response, potential feedback from stakeholders, and your recommended action items. So if your leadership, if the business sees that you are correctly interpreting trends, you're correctly interpreting stakeholder reactions, you are correctly projecting potential issues, and you are providing appropriate recommendations for dealing with them, you are trusted better, because trust is earned by the value that you project. So in your sphere, it's very important to pay attention to how you engage with your knowledge of the business and bring that knowledge of the business to your communication practice. Your practice must not be merely academic. Apologies to Dr. Agua, because you know, the risk is this. The academic knowledge is supposed to bring you the thoughts behind the practice, the theories upon which your practice is based, the principles upon which your activities are based, and why. Now, you as a professional in the marketplace, in the business world, you are able to tap into the theories and principles and models that Dr. Agwai teaches to interpret your everyday occurrences at work and to bring value to your leadership, to your organization. So if, for example, you do not see yourself as a stakeholder manager, if you have shareholders, you have customers, you have suppliers, you have competitors, you even have non-governmental organizations who are advocacy groups that are on your tail every day. You have regulatory agencies. All of these stakeholder segments are critical segments that can impact on the reputation of your company one way or the other. What you want to do as a professional is demonstrate to your business where the reputation value lies in interface with each of these stakeholders, and how a failure of that engagement has potential to impact on your business and to whatever cost. And anyone who is experienced in strategic communication practice will tell you that a reputation crisis can easily become a financial crisis. Easily. It can sink your company very quickly. So you need to be able to tie your role to the company's bottom, to the company's financial health in that manner. So when you tie that, you need to be able to define what the implications are for some of the proposals you are giving and why failure of that can hit your bottom line in very unpleasant ways. So demonstrating these key values are key to any professional that will earn the respect of the leadership. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shola. So something you've heard it, that trust is earned by the value you bring. So you must be able to, those intentions, you must be able to interpret them. You know, you must be able to interpret them and demonstrate that you can correctly interpret other trends. What your stakeholder messaging is. You know, look at what's happening around, what's happening in your business environment. You should be able to interpret it. And demonstrating knowledge of the business and strategic communication and how it will help you deliver value. So Shola Abu also said on the chat box that you should be able to tap into the theories and principles of communications and engagements in the context of your business. So I do not see any more questions, but I see that Dr. Shola has responded and Samson has said, yes, he's fine with the response. So just before we round up, I'll just like the panelists to just give us their closing comments in two minutes each. I'll come with Dr. Agua first.
Oh, thank you. This has been quite enriching. I've really enjoyed myself so far. The truth of the matter is that any organization that wants to be reckoned with in the future we look forward to must engage communication professionals to manage their communication. The time of underrating your stakeholders are over. The time of ignoring people who have stake in your organizations are over. So it's high time organizations began to engage real communication professionals to manage their communication. A mismanagement of communication can trigger a lot of crisis in any organization and it can sink it. It takes core professionals in communication to be able to gauge the organization they work in. Of course, Shola had talked about having good knowledge. If you don't understand your organization, you will not be able to make reasonable contribution. Whether you want to engage your stakeholders, whether you want to pass on information, you must be able to be professional enough. You see, the problem I find in many public sector organizations, they do not use professionals to manage their communication. They can just hire any kind of person to do their communication. And what they do is really not communication. Maybe sometimes could be just master of ceremony of an event. Communication has passed that level. If you want to build reputation for your organization, it must be based on knowledge. It must be based on research, and there are many of them. In my doctorate thesis, we were able to develop an index that could be used to, evaluate or assess the reputation of public health sector organizations. And I thank IABC for the opportunity to say it. If you engage any organizational stakeholders, you'll be able to know what they think about you. You will be able to know how to address the challenges they relate to you. That is your communication plan. It must come from knowledge. Anything outside knowledge, any guesswork in this communication will not build any organization. That's the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. There's no guesswork in our profession. We must be knowledgeable. Thank you. Okay, so I move to Dr. Shola now for his closing comments.
Thank you very much, audience. I want to appreciate the time we spent today, but these parting words I need to share that for every professional in the communication industry who is seeking to transition to a strategic advisory role, you have desired a good thing, but there are preparations to be made. Experience will count, and you should seek to have those experiences as broadly as possible. You need to understand your role beyond the regular interface, beyond the regular purveyor of information from your management to the other. The strategic communication advisor should advise strategically. That's what it means. It simply means that you should look at the various aspects of the business, which you understand, seek to understand that better, and see how everyday decision in your business has potential to impact on the reputation of the business in the future. And you are not waiting. This is different from waiting to manage a crisis when it occurs. This is different from waiting to manage issues, but it also speaks to your ability to position your organization along the reputation spectrum in terms of where your organization stands on certain global issues of social concern, issues like diversity and inclusion, issues like the climate change or the environment, issues like employee welfare, other issues like that, key issues in the global space. It's very important for you as a strategic advisor to understand and help your company see where the brand stands in relation to those issues in a long-term way, to see how you treat your treatment of women, your policy around women today. What will it say about your company in 2-3 years' time? Your human resource policy, your financial policy, your employment policy, your customer care policy. How is it likely to impact on the way the rest of the world perceives your company in the future? And how is that perception likely to impact on the profitability of your business? That is all of this thinking, thoughtful thinking process in terms of analyzing those communications requirements is what is key. And these are the things that bring value to your organization. I'm sure by the grace of God, we'll be having more opportunity to discuss this issue more. Thank you one more time for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shola. I look forward. I know we discuss a lot on the IABC West African Interest Group WhatsApp platform. So we look forward to more people signing up. We'll add you to the group. We always regularly discuss all the trends ongoing as part of our peer learning. Thank you very much, Dr. Shola. Now to the last but not the least, definitely not the least, is Dr. Amanda for our parting shots.
Yes, my message to the audience is simple. Take control of your career. Decide where you want to be and develop a strategy, like you will develop a strategy for your business, and develop a strategy. How do you want to become a strategic advisor? And if you are a strategic advisor already, know how are you going to specialize in a specific environment? Because being a strategic advisor enables you to, for instance, to start a consultancy and to advise several organizations on best practices, on reputation, on crisis communication, but take control of your career and do the career assessment tool, determine where you are at the moment, and then consider doing certification, because that will give you global recognition, because it is a global ISO accredited certification, and that will indicate what your competencies are. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think it is, I am so impressed. I am so impressed with the participation. So congratulations to the West Africa Interest Group. I am really, privileged to be part of this.
Thank you very much, Amanda. You've heard it all. Take control of your career. I know you have. That's why you are here. Everybody who is here is taking control of their career. We hope to hear and have you on the panel, join us and be part of the association. So our dear panelists, I'd like to say thank you very much. This is all we are able to take From you and the members of the audience, we have picked so much. My notebook is full. And I know that everybody here, their notebooks are full. We picked up a lot on how communications professionals can move from specialists to strategic advisors. And I'm very positive that we'll all take this back and we'll use to continue to add business in our various spaces and get a seat at the table. To our distinguished attendees, thank you all. I see so many people here. Jacob and Kem, thank you for joining. I see everybody. I won't be able to name all. I can see Nengi, I can see Humphrey, Henrietta, Funto, Festus, Ellen. I can see Akana, Dabuni is here, Chizin, Chika, Bashir, Aliu, Akimbo Wali. I can go on and on. Thank you so much to every one of you. Even though I didn't mention your name, Adedoyi, your participation is what has made this so interactive. Please note that you can continue to have these conversations with your business leaders and business leaders on this panel online and offline. Look for them, they're all on LinkedIn, and connect with them to share more ideas after this session. Let me again now specially recognize all IABC members online from the Africa region, Asia Pacific, Europe, and even North America. And of course the hosts, the IABC West Africa Interest Group. Thank you all and do enjoy the rest of your evening. See you at our next webinar next quarter. Stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I just say congratulations to the team?
Thank you very much, Amanda.
Yes.
Yemi, we can't hear the video.